Hello guys and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Kashish and in today's video I'm going to be doing my end of the year book tag. So I saw Destiny Sidewell doing this on her page and I wanted to do it as well because you know what, I feel like all these questions will sum up my 2023 reading wrap up perfectly, and it's just that I waited for the last day of the year to shoot this video because I felt like what if I read a book in the last 10-15 days and I loved it and I wanted to talk about it in this video. So, yeah, that's why I am doing this like legit on the last day of the year. And you know what? Let's just get started and I hope you guys enjoy this video. Okay, so the first question is most disappointing book of the year. Yeah, I know what I'm gonna do for this. Okay, so I'm gonna have to say Things We Left Behind by Lucy Score. I just feel like I would have loved this book if I didn't have that many high expectations of it. Like, this was one of my most anticipated reads of the year, but it's just that when it came out and I read it, I just felt like something was missing, or it just, I don't know, it felt too long, and then at the same time, I also felt like I didn't get what I was hoping from what I was hoping to get from this book. But at the end of the day, I love this series. I love these characters, and they will always have a special place in my heart. The next question is, what was an underdog book? Okay. Okay. So, firstly, I want to say 7 Days in June by Tia Williams because this book is freaking amazing, and it's just I enjoyed it so much, and I felt like I haven't seen a lot of people around me reading it, and I really hope that more people pick up this book and they end up enjoying it. And I have another book, or like I have a series for this tag, which is the Perfectly Imperfect series by Neva Altaj. So only 8 books are out in this series, and like the author is coming up with more books. But it's just that I feel like this series is so good because these books are just between 200 to 300 pages and they just hit perfectly. And I just feel like if you are somebody who's fond of the mafia romance trope, then you're definitely gonna love this series so much. And moving on, we have, what was an overhyped book you read? Okay. Okay. So for this, I'm gonna have to say These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. So it's just that I liked this book, but I don't know, somewhere or the other, I was just not fond of the plot line. Like, I liked the characters, I liked the romance, I loved Benedict and Marshall in this book, but it's just that somewhere or the other, I just felt like this book is overhyped, and it just did not meet my expectations or what I was looking for. And moving on, a book that surprised you. Okay, so for this, firstly, I'm gonna have to say uh, Stone Princess and Noble Prince by Devney Perry. So they are the third and the fourth books in the Clifton Fort series. So when I started the Clifton Fort series, I was gonna legit skip these 2 books because I just didn't want to read them. I didn't feel like I wanted to read them, but I just could not leave a book unfinished in a series. So that's why I read them, and they are my favorite books in the whole series. And it's just I was so surprised by how much I liked those books, and I am so glad that I read them because I would have majorly missed out on a really good book. And after that, I have Tis the Season for Revenge by uh, Morgan Elizabeth. So I just started this book out of the blue. I had no expectations whatsoever. I just needed like a short, sweet read, and I was really hoping that this would be like a 3 or a 4 star read. But I absolutely loved it. I finished it in like a day or two, and it's just again I was not gonna read this book, but I am so glad I did. And after that, I have Unbreak Me by Reese Rivers. Yeah, Unbreak Me. So I randomly saw a reel on Instagram and it was like a single mother romance. I just wanted to read something like that. So I picked up that book and it was so good. Like I did not know that she was gonna end up with three guys. Feel like reading it, but then at the same time, I really enjoyed the whole book. Like all three of them were so adorable with her daughter, and it was like a 3.5 star read, but I enjoyed it, and it just surprised me a lot. And the next question that we have here is your favorite book couples of the year. Yeah, so I have two, three books for this. So the first couple is Jacob and Brianna, uh, in Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. Oh my god, I love this couple so much. They are legit perfect for each other. And it's just, I love how Brianna knows how to deal with uh, Jacob's anxiety and just being so perfect at the same time. And the way Jacob is with Brianna is just, oh my god, this book is so freaking perfect. I love it, and I love these two. And after that, I have, so this couple is a spoiler for this series. So I would just recommend that if you haven't read Caravel series and if you want to read it, then just skip this part. It's Donatella and Legend. Oh my god, I honestly did not know that Legend is supposed to be the villain of this series. And oh my god, I can't say much because it'll be like a spoiler for the series, so you'll just have to read and find out. But I absolutely loved and adored this couple, and I think they made this book or this series 100 times better than Caravel. And moving on, we have Kazi and Jace from Dance of Thieves. Again, such a freaking adorable couple. I like they're it's just amazing. Like you have these battle scenes in this book, and the way they coordinate with each other or just are just so aware of each other, and they just work perfectly, and I just absolutely love that. I just need more people to read this series because it is so good. And moving on, I have the last couple that I want to talk about is The Right Move by Liz Tomford, and in that we have Ryan and Indy. Everybody knows how much I love this couple and I love this book, and I feel like they are absolutely perfect for each other. Grumpy sunshine. It's like the outgoing girl and then the shy guy, the introverted guy is just, I love that. I love that so much. Okay, so for this, I'm coming back with the same authors. So, firstly, I have Abby Jimenez. I loved Yours Truly, and I am so excited to read all the other books which are written by her because it's just, I loved her writing, I loved her characters, and the romance, and it's just, I can't wait to read another book by her. And then after that, I have the Caravel series by Stephanie Garber. Loved her writing, loved the world building, and everything in this book was just so perfect. I am dying to start Once Upon a Broken Heart, and I know that I've been saying that for the past 3 months, but hopefully next year I am definitely reading it. And coming on to the next question, we have most frustrating book of the year. Okay, okay, so the most frustrating, I wouldn't say book, a series I've read this year is the Shatter Me series by Tahira Mafi. I struggled with this series so much, like every book felt like I was punishing myself to read this book because I was just not vibing with it, but at the same time I could not DNF a series in between, so I just pushed myself into reading this book, and it was very difficult for me to finish it. So yeah, this is my most frustrating read of the year. And moving on, I have, what is the happiest book you've read this year? Okay, I would say Charlie Love and Cliches by Ella Macy. Like, again, I adored this book so much. These characters are so freaking adorable. And it's just the whole time I was reading this book, I had like a huge smile on my face. And there's this cameo appearance of Jack and Rose in this book as well. And I just loved it. It was so cute. And this book legit made me so happy to read it. And then the next question that we have is best book adaptation of the year. Okay, so that is definitely season 2 of the Shadow and Bone series. Oh my god, everything about that series is just perfect. The characters, the acting, the plot line, everything. I am so pissed off about the fact that it's not being renewed for another season. And the next question is, what is the longest book you've read this year? Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. This is 800 pages. I read the whole thing, regretted it. So, yeah, don't think that this should be the longest book I should have read this year. Should have been a fantasy series. I would have definitely loved that. And the next question is, what is the shortest book you've read this year? Okay, so the shortest book is, I think, one of the novellas from the Shadow Me series. I think Shadow Me, that is 112 pages, and that is the shortest book I've read. Again, I liked that novella, it was nice. And moving on, I have your favorite covers of the year. Okay, I have the perfect books for this. Firstly, we definitely have the Fourth Wing and Iron Flame covers, and the sprayed edges are the best thing that I've ever owned in my life. I love how these books look, and I just hope that every book in this series has sprayed edges, because I would hate it to to ruin my spines because they just look so perfect. And then after that, I have Curse for True Love by Stephanie Garber. Not read it, but just look at this cover. I am obsessed with it. The detailing, the font, the gold foiling is just so beautiful and so perfect. Hats off to the designer. She or he has done such an amazing work, and I am obsessed with this cover. And moving on, the next question is a book you haven't stopped thinking about. Okay, so I recently read A Silent Lies by Neva Altash, and it's just, I am obsessed with that book. I cannot stop thinking about it. Like, I feel like rereading it again when I just read it the past week, and it's just, I am pretty sure that I'll be thinking about this book over the next year as well. And I really just want to, look for another book which is very similar to this, because I enjoyed this one so much. And the next question is cringiest read of the year. Okay, so between Love and Loathing by Shane Rose, I also read this book just a few days back, but it was so cringy. The scenes and the characters were just like, I like the female main character, but it's just that the overall storyline and their romance and their relationship was so cringy and just so, like, he calls her cupcake. I mean, that should be that is the cringiest thing I have ever heard in my life. Like, I don't get why in books, when the female main character owns a bakery, the guy just legit calls her a cupcake. I mean, I hate that. Like, I love baking as a person, and if some guy called me cupcake, I would definitely be like, please, just go away from my life. I don't need you calling me cupcake. So yeah, that is definitely the cringiest book I've read this year. And then we have Unpopular Book You Loved. Wrecked by Lauren Asher is a book is not liked by a lot of people, but it's just that I loved reading it, and it was like one of my favorite reads of this year. So I would definitely have to say that Wrecked is kind of like an unpopular book with a lot of people, but it was something that I loved and I enjoyed reading it. Then the next question is lowest rated on Goodreads and highest rated on Goodreads, and do you agree? So the book which I read this year, which was highest rated, was Fourth Wing, and I also ended up giving it 5 stars. So it. I definitely agree that Fourth Wing being the highest rated is is justifiable, because I loved it and I gave it 5 stars too. And the lowest rated was Filthy Sinner. I think it has a rating of 3.18, and I definitely agree, because I gave this book 1 star because it was really bad. And moving on, the next question is favorite book quotes of the year. Okay, so I am pretty sure that the favorite quotes from this year are in just one book, because I freaking loved and adored that book till the bottom of my heart, and that is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. Okay, so there's this specific chapter in this book which has the best quotes I've read this year. I think that's chapter 52. And the first one is, I meant what I said. I can't take my eyes off you. I can't take my mind off you. And then my favorite, pay. When I look at you, I'm devastated. I'm drowning. I'm dying to catch my breath. Oh my god, I love this book so much. And then this one also. But I'm never sober around you, pay. Never not drunk on every detail that is you. Please, I hope that I've convinced you to read this book by these quotes because they are just love. I love these quotes, and it's just at the moment I can't think of any book which has. Oh yeah, wait. Yours truly has some really good quotes too. Um, I didn't even want to go to sleep because I'd rather be awake and with the woman I love than risk being alone in my dreams. I stayed just listening. I sat there thinking that I was lucky to still be with her in the silence. And I realized that this is what true love feels like, clinging even to the stolen moments you're not supposed to have. This book, I'm just telling you, I am entirely obsessed with this book. I'm gonna make this my entire personality. Book with the most unique concept you read this year. Okay, so I will definitely have to say The Bridge Kingdom by Daniel L. Jelisin because the whole world building and plotline of this book is so amazing. Like there being a bridge kingdom, like a long bridge in between two other kingdoms, is just I loved the concept and it was so unique. Like it took me a long time to understand or to visualize how that bridge kingdom looks like, but it's just when you're able to get that picture in your mind, you will just be amazed by how smart and intelligent that is. So I will definitely say that this book has a really unique plot and I definitely recommend it to you guys. And the next question is, um, book you read this year that you would reread. Again, I am sorry, but I'm coming back with the same books. Yours truly is a book which I would love to reread next year when I've legit forgotten everything about it because it's a book that you do not forget anything about. And then after that, I have The Right Move by Liz Stafford. Like, I think I've already read this book twice after I finished reading it initially in like May or June. And it's just, I feel like I'll be rereading this book for a really long time because I just love both of them. And moving on, Goodreads reading goal reflection and 2024 reading goal. Okay, so my reading goal for 2023 was 100 books and I read 117 books this year. So definitely I have achieved my reading goal. And I want to say that this year was a good reading year for me, but it's just I felt like compared to all the other years, I felt like this year my average rating of books was like quite less than what I gave. Like I specifically found some really, really good books that I'm going to love, with my whole heart. But majority of the books that I read this year were like 3.5 or 3.75 star reads. Like only a few of the books were like 5 star reads for me this year. So that's how I felt with my 2023 reading. And now talking about my 2024 reading goal. So I am going to be keeping that as the number of books on my physical TBR. So that what I am motivated to finish books on my physical TBR. So, like any book that I read on my Kindle, I will not count it as a part of my reading goal because that is not my reading goal. So, probably 110 because I think that is the amount of books that is there on my physical TBR. And then now we have our last question for this tag, which is what will you prioritize in your 2024 reading year? Okay, so I want to prioritize reading more fantasy romances because fantasy romance is my main genre of books that I love reading fantasy romances and that is what I started reading with. It's just that when I joined Bookstagram, I kind of diverted, and now I read a lot of romance books in the past 2 3 years. But it's just that now every romance book feels the same to me. I am not excited to read them, and it's just that I really want to get back into fantasy romances because that was my main genre of books, and it's just my major that is the major thing that I want to prioritize in 2024. And this is it. These were all the questions. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and you got like a lot of information about how my 2023 reading year was. And it's just that thank you so much for sticking around. And it's just this year has been good, but I'm just really hoping that the next one is going to be so much better. And I wish you guys a happy new year as well. And you know what? Everything that you want to achieve, you get a chance to finish it next year. And it's just that thank you so much for everyone who's subscribed to my channel for the past 6 months, because I am so overwhelmed with the type of response I'm getting by just being on YouTube for a short while. And I just hope that you keep coming back to my videos, and I hope you enjoyed them. So thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next year now. Bye bye.